There's people up here who know this subject. I know how to run a dental office, or I'm sober and I've been sober for 20 years, or I know AI inside and out. And then there's people down here who get the concept, new dental office people, get the concept of insurance, but I don't know that I understand all the words you're using. Or people who are sober curious, like I get the concept of what it would be like not to drink, but I don't know if I can do it because of all these things. And the same with AI. One of the things that I found and why I love AI right now is there's a bridge that we need to do. Like, how can we get people over this level that they need to actually feel comfortable with it?
Welcome to the Just Do It podcast, hosted by Duffy. Dental Entrepreneur Women is here to dive deep and share stories with the mission to inspire, highlight, empower, and connect all women in dentistry.
Hello, everyone. It's Duffy, and welcome to Dental Entrepreneur Woman, the Just Do It podcast. So happy that you're with me today, and I'm so excited because I have a very, very dear friend, and she's just such a smart, gorgeous, fabulous woman in dentistry. And I want to tell you a little bit about her before we get started. Laura Nelson is the VP of AI Training and Development at Mango Voice, founder of Front Office Rocks, co-founder of Sober Life Rocks, and author of 4 books, including Brush Up on AI. She helps dental teams lead with confidence, technology, and heart. One of her fun facts is she has been alcohol-free since 2020 and owns a creative DIY studio in Coronado, California. Please help me welcome my dear friend, Laura Nelson. Hello, Nora.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so glad you're here too, Laura. If you're watching this on YouTube, the plaque back there that says Do Life, it is so gorgeous. And Laura, you gave that to me, I think it was right after you opened your studio in Coronado.
Yeah, like a couple of years ago. It's
3
for
years
anybody
ago.
listening, it's AR Workshop, and they're a franchise. So in your area, there might be one. But yes, I own one in Coronado and made that.
And it's so beautiful, and I it's so dear. And you know, I think of you every day when I get into my office, and every Zoom meeting that I'm on like this, I can see that in the background. It's so beautiful. And then of course we have Mango gave me this for Christmas, and I love this. It's my, I've got a Do Yeti, but I've got a Mango hydro jug. And it keeps me hydrated because of those beautiful people in Mango. And so, this is what we do, right? We connect people in dentistry, and we connected you with Mango. And Rich, I'll never forget when Rich said, I hope he doesn't mind this, but he says, I don't have a woman in our company that I can send to do. And I remember saying, well, I know the perfect person for you. And now you're leading AI as a VP for Mango. And it's such a great company, as we were talking before we started, great culture. And then here you are, Miss A.
You have made so many significant, impactful happening in my life. From the very first Do conference, I remember walking in going, I'm not sure what I'm walking into. And it was amazing. And I've been to everyone, I think, ever since. And then Sober Life Rocks launched at Do, and my new career at Mango was because of Do. So all the good stuff comes out of Do. I can't thank you enough.
Oh, my pleasure. Well, good do's find good do's, and good dudes find good do's. Yeah, because those guys at Mango are dudes. But you not only came to the first retreat, but since then you've shown up, Laura, and that's really what it takes. You're such a leader. I've seen you grow immensely, and then start businesses and sell businesses and buy them back and start businesses again. And you are just the ultimate entrepreneur and now intrapreneur for your new company that you're working for.
Which is so funny because people called me an entrepreneur early on. I was in dentistry because I was married to a dentist. So I thought, I don't think of myself as an entrepreneur. But now through, like you say, that I've bought and, gotten involved with and started and stuff. And now I kind of do embrace that label. I think a lot of it, that's part of like why I love Do, is we have these conversations where people are like, I don't feel this way, but I am doing the things. And we learn a lot about ourselves at Do and our strengths. You keep asking me my strengths, and I'm like, it never sticks, but it makes sense why my last 20 years have been the way they are, because of my strengths and amazing people like you who've kind of been part of the stepping stone to where I am today.
Well, I think that we see something in you, for starters. And then your number one is activator. So activator, you don't think much about it. You just know you can do it. And you're an achiever as well. And so your strengths are so strong. Oh my God, there's nothing that you can't do. And so when something comes to your plate or to your table, you say, yes, I can do it. And then you dive in with both feet. And I think that's what makes you stand out is that you actually really give it your all, no matter what you're in, even with your office, when you first office manager, even though it was your husband, it was still yours. It's always yours to build off of. And I think
though, along the way, all of this, we can learn about our strengths and we can have our careers and all this stuff. But I think there's something missing early on that I have more of now than before, based off what you're saying, is wisdom. So just because I can do it all, just because I can take on things, like my challenge is always, if somebody says you can't do it or you can do it, that's what I need, like game on, right? But now I'm learning more and more. We were just talking about this before about AI. Like, just because I can do it doesn't mean I should do it anymore. And that's been a big difference, I think, of learning balance, because there is no such thing as life-work balance, but you can learn to say no, even though with AI, I mean, we could build 50 businesses if we wanted, but it's not my time in life to be doing that kind of stuff.
And I also think, to your point, life is long. I like to think of life as long. So who knows where you'll be doing, who knows what down the lane.
Yeah. How old were you when you started Do?
62.
Yeah.
62 when I hung up the phone. Like so many other things that happen in life, I didn't set out to start Do.
Right.
And I'm an activator as well. I was mad my friend was bullied, and darn, I'm going to do something about it. So, we have a lot in common. All of the Do's, I think, just about have achiever in their top 15 or whatever, because we're all doers. And
I want to tell the backstory. So we tell a lot the story about Sober Life Rocks. Sober Life Rocks started at Do because you asked me to be on a panel, and everybody, if you've heard anything about Sober Life Rocks, if not, look it up and past podcasts and stuff. But it's because we were talking about people in the room, and there's a good percentage of people who don't drink or try not to drink. But I'm going to back it up to you and I. We were at a conference when this whole thing launched, and it was the last day. We were both leaving, like we were on our way out past each other, and we had a conversation about how the night before, we're at this professional conference, but the amount of alcohol that was flowing and the amount of questionable conversations and decisions. And as an amazing woman as you are, we were talking about the younger women and how the younger women feel like they need to do these things, the network this way and stand around the bar. And you and I were like, we wish we could show them that you don't have to do that. We don't have to do it the way. And so that conversation got you to invite me at Do to be on that panel, which has changed, I hope, lots of lives and more to come. So that is what I love about you, is that you're always looking for, even if it's not your purpose or your mission yourself, but you're finding ways to let us spotlight and leave the ladder down, like for the next generation. And that's what I love about Do, is that you and I have a lot of work ahead of us, but hopefully that will make a better path for those that are coming behind us.
Yeah, leave that ladder down all the time. But also, and you, as you and I both know, they're pushing us up. Like I think of Brandy Marzolino. I mean, like she's young and she's pushing you up and not letting you stop. And that was such I have goosebumps about the Sober Life Rocks. And seriously, check that out, because that was a total light bulb for me. I remember the retreat before that. I had a secret mimosa in front of everybody. And I thought that was so fun. And that was a big mistake looking back on it, because I know there was one beautiful young gal, it was her first retreat in the room, and she was trying to be sober, and everybody's sipping it. I didn't tell them there was champagne in it. It didn't even occur to me, Laura. That is only 4 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
And what I've learned since, and then the next retreat you come, and we had that big party at the party center and the fashion show, and the only thing we had for people that weren't drinking was water.
Yeah.
And the bartenders kind of made you feel like, well, why aren't you drinking wine?
Yeah.
And then I remember Christy Boltz immediately when the house party was the next day.
Yeah.
He's dialing up Target, and they delivered cases of sparkling waters and all sorts of non-alcoholic beverages.
And you know what came from that? That night, there were so many discussions around this, which is the whole goal of Sober Life Rocks. There were so many discussions around women talking about they're trying not to drink, or maybe they just want to limit the amount of drinking. Not that alcohol shouldn't be there, but it should just be options. And I just love that. I mean, there's women who are in menopause, women who are trying to get pregnant, all these things. And it's like, why can't we also talk about options for drinking? We talk about all these other health, fitness things, wellness and stuff. So I really appreciate you giving us the platform. We didn't know where this was going to go when you gave me the platform, but man, it's been amazing.
It is amazing. And I love hearing women talk about it, like sober curious. I love that. And I think all of us since that, honestly, are evaluating how much we drink, when we drink,
why we drink. Yeah.
Why can't I, I really just want to drink water and before I go to bed, and there's nothing wrong with that. And so it's just been in 3 years, Laura, you have so made a difference because again, the conversation is going on and we're looking at things.
Thank you.
And I love you so much. But again, you took that and you didn't stop.
Me and my business partner. I have a business partner, Margie, who's a dude.
But remember, even Margie, and I know that you've got to listen to your podcast because Margie never really talked about it to anybody until.
No, and she's like 30 years sober and didn't talk about it. And so that was where really I was newly sober. She was sober for a long time and we weren't really having these conversations. And we're like, this is just not working. Like people should be able to talk about this. And actually, the second due after we started Sober Life Rocks, I had a lady come up to me after the party that night, the next day, and she thanked me. I didn't know her. She was part of due, but we just met. And she said, because of what we're doing, she didn't drink the night before. I didn't meet her. We didn't talk about it. But because the conversation's being had, people are starting to get permission to choose not to if they don't want, right? And so I just appreciate that. And who knows where this is going? Of course, Margie's happy. We have our second conference coming up. We'll have 200 people there. But me, I want 2,000. I want 20,000.
Stadiums.
Like,
I want
to
stadiums.
change society. Like, I'm like, oh, we're just starting, right? Which is, for her, it's like, oh boy, right? But why not? Why can't we change it, right?
Why not? And I can see that happening because every conference I've been to since has had the non-alcoholic, has been aware. Of course, you've been working it. You've been boots on the ground, calling the conferences, and they've never had anybody even ask them those questions before.
Exactly.
Which is just so beautiful. I just love it because I think especially giving permission and back to your point, like we're old enough that we can do whatever the heck we want. Well, you're not. I know I'm old enough that I can do whatever I want. But the young gals are still trying to fit in. They're trying to figure out how to get the job, how to do this. And
how to get promoted. And
that just seems mainstream. And even guys, I just give everybody permission to just, it's okay and it's cool. You're actually making it cool.
Right, exactly. And not to make this whole podcast about that, but part of the reason I didn't stop drinking earlier is because I was afraid I wouldn't have fun. Then I met a bunch of people because I started talking to people who don't drink, and a lot of people in our industry don't drink. And I'm like, but you're so fun. And they're like, you don't need to have alcohol to have fun. And I'm like, well, I don't know if I can do that, right? I don't know if I know how to go to a concert without alcohol. And then I learned, and I was like, well, why can't we at least make it accessible to everybody, right? I have more fun and wake up less tired the next morning. So it's like a win-win, but it took me a while to learn that I could do that.
And also with your stature and, of course, living your strengths of significance, this is being in the balcony of significant to make a change, to make a real difference. So there is no wonder that you are doing this because this is the talent that you've been given on purpose for a purpose. And you partnering with Margie, it's like she has other gifts. And together, you guys are making some great things happen. So I'm so proud of you. And of course, we back you 100%. And good luck. When is the conference? It's coming up here?
March 12th and 13th. And it's in Phoenix. And this year we are inviting, last year was a little bit more around the sober community. This year it's around everybody who can see a value in bringing in better options. So the biggest thing we're seeing right now is loneliness is an epidemic. And you can get everything in your house. You don't have to leave, right? You can get food delivered. You can watch movies. You can have all the stuff. So why leave? Why go to events? Well, it's for connection. Whether it's a conference, whether it's a girlfriend's house, a lot of it starts with alcohol. Let's go fishing and drink beer. Let's go to sports and let's go to a concert and drink, right? And we're not saying that alcohol shouldn't be there, but what we're saying is we could do better about connection. We could do better about how can we help people connect. And alcohol... After a couple drinks, connection is not the goal of alcohol, right? So we're trying to just show the mainstream how you can do other things to help people connect and have better options so people who don't drink don't feel the pressure that they have to do it to fit in, right? That's really the goal. So we're really trying to make this, we're bringing business owners and we're inviting meeting planners and hotel CEOs and anybody we can get, people in the sports industry, anybody who's here to say, it's kind of time to have better options for these events so that we can help people feel connected and, you know, not feel so alone.
Yeah, it just makes so much sense. But also just like an aha, like you're saying, can I really have fun? I'm like, oh, can I really not have a cocktail or two or, I like to have one, but I don't need two. I don't need three. And I don't ever, I think you live long enough. If you've had a hangover, you don't ever want to have another one.
Right. Yeah.
But that's also is giving yourself permission that that's okay. And we're going to have fun anyway. You're just mainstreaming sober life, and sober life rocks because it does rock. And sober life rocks for people all around. It's like the curious, even if you've been to Al-Anon or AA, it's for all of you because we have to understand that. It just makes it's going to be raucous, actually.
Right.
And no one's going to get hurt. There's something really special about good, clean fun. Right.
Yeah. And the thing is, too, is it's called Amplify Sober Choices, our conference. And that's all we're really trying to do is everybody's been affected by an addiction of some sort, whether it's in your family or whatever. And literally, a lot of people who don't drink keep it quiet. They don't talk about it in their business life. But this is something I'm most proud of, honestly, overcoming and not feeling like going to conferences and feeling like I have to drink and do all that. Why can't I be proud of that? Like, I'm going against societal norms. And so that's really what we're just trying to do is just really kind of make it one of our, this is a superpower. And if you do drink, that's great, but you've got people in your life who don't. So great. How do you make them feel like they're part of the connection?
But also, I mean, the brave and the courageous thing about it is, again, instead of keeping it to yourself and just having a wine glass with Sprite in it, you're actually proud of the fact that you're sober now and that you have a reason for it and it's okay. And you're talking about it.
Well, you know why? Because we all, like the people who don't drink, will get the little rock glass and put a lime in it because they don't want people to ask them. Like, it's just, why are you drinking? Like, nobody asks you why you don't eat fish. Like, why are you drinking? The pressure, right? But the thing about that is when you aren't drinking, you feel like everybody else in the room is drinking because everybody's got the little rock glass with a lime. And so when you feel alone, it's already hard enough to walk into a room of strangers. It's hard enough to do that first day and not know anybody when you're a brand newbie, right?
Yeah.
It's hard. I mean, when you feel you're alone, that's when you start to feel like, I need to leave early, or everybody's drinking, I should drink, or
you don't
whatever.
belong.
You don't belong, right? Well, when we actually are showing that not everybody's drinking, like there's a good percentage of women or people in here not drinking, you no longer feel alone. And it's kind of like what you're doing with Do. We go to conferences now and there's a meetup and we know there's other Do's there. So it's not like you can go and have the whole imposter syndrome going on and you could feel like you're not qualified. But when you find other Do's that are in this thousands of people, you're like, I'm not alone. I've got other women here to support me. And that's basically what we're trying to do with this, is just to show people they're not alone.
Yeah, because you call it a wingman, right?
Yep,
there's a wingman. So
you're a sober wingman.
We got a do wing girl. Also, the other thing that hit me when you were talking, Laura, is that it's not only that you feel alone, but you're hiding a secret. You're not authentic, because you're embarrassed or you're afraid or, you don't want anybody to ask you because
you just get tired of it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting about that you can be so proud of it, and you should be. And you don't have to make a big deal about it, but what you're doing is making it mainstream and making it normal.
Exactly.
And that's what we all want to be. Everybody wants to be in the normal, so normal group, and then still be able to be ourselves, but not have it be out of control and fret over it the next morning. Like, what did I say? All that kind of stuff.
There's a lot of people who don't want to be in the spotlight. Like when I first started this, I had somebody who said, I don't want to be the poster child for this. And I was like, don't worry, I already am. And then there's people like Brandy, who's very active with me in this, and she talks about it. And I don't know how much she talked about it before, but now she gets the mission. Like, I'm just going to share this. So there's some of us who are fine to stand up on stage and say, this is who I am, so that the people who don't want to do that cannot feel alone and feel okay with their decisions, right? And that's ultimately what we're trying to do by bringing all different kinds of people together.
Yeah, and the other cool thing about it, that in the time of your life that this came to you, you already had the gravitas. So it's really lovely that you had the clout, you had expert status in your field, so that women and men are taking notice. There's a time for everything, and sometimes we have to trust that process. So it's just beautiful, and continued success to you and Margie and Brandy and everybody that's working with you on Sober Life Rocks. And I will continue to learn and be curious, and I'd love to come to your conference. So we'll think about that. So let's talk about AI. Let me ask you my first question. You've built successful communities in both dentistry and the sober movement. What have those experiences taught you about what people are really looking for when they want to connect and belong?
It's interesting, kind of taking what we just talked about and then throwing this into AI. And, I started Front Office Rocks. So Front Office Rocks was a team training website with all of these topics. I think the thing is there's people up here who know this subject. I know how to run a dental office, or I'm sober and I've been sober for 20 years, or I know AI inside and out. And then there's people down here who get the concept, right? And I'm not saying above, but new dental office people get the concept of insurance, but I don't know that I understand all the words you're using. Or people who are sober curious, like I get the concept of what it would be like not to drink, but I don't know if I can do it because of all these things. And the same with AI. One of the things that I found and why I love AI right now is there's a bridge that we need to do. I did this with Front Office Rocks. I take new people and I teach them the ins and outs of dentistry so that they'll love their career. Same with Sober Life Rocks. I'm trying to mainstream this so people who are curious around sobriety or around sober choices, they can be okay to learn and see, well, what is it like to not drink and go to events? And that's where we are with AI. That's what I'm so excited about for the next 10 plus years with my career is that I really want to bridge this. There are people who, we talked about this recently, people who use AI, but they're just chatting with ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Great. But you're not really using AI. And a lot of times when we talk to people who are really using AI, you and I have a good friend, Sarah, she's in it, man. She's way ahead of me in lightning speed. But she talks a lot high level. And there's a lot of people who are like, I've heard of Claude, I understand concepts, but I don't know how to get there. And so that's where I feel like I've learned is there's a bridge. When things move very fast and people think they should get it, they shake their head a lot of times and they're like, yes. And then they leave and they don't really understand.
And they don't implement.
And they don't implement. And then they feel like they should, right? That's the biggest thing. Like they feel like I should. And should is an awful word, you know? So don't should all over yourself. I should use AI. Do you really need to use AI? You and I talked about this. I don't know. You've got to ask the right questions. Do you really need to be sober? I don't know. That's a personal question. Here's some tips and tools, right? So really that's what I've kind of learned for building a following, helping people understand something, and then they sort of trust me in this area of like, my goal right now is to get dental team members to really want to use AI, learn it enough so that they start to embrace it because our industry is going there. There's no question. AI is here. So like, how can we get people over this level that they need to actually feel comfortable with it?
Well, it's like you're okay with the baby steps. You know, and we need people like Sarah that are ahead because you know, we got to go for that. But you're like kind of pushing and she's like kind of dragging.
I'm also okay to say, I don't know. And I think that's, I say all day, I don't know. Teach me, what does this mean? I have no problem doing that. And I think like the newbie, I think like the person who goes, that's a word I've never heard. What does that mean? You know? So, and not saying Sarah doesn't either, but she's learning and we're picking on Sarah here. She's just amazing, right? But like so many dudes are really, 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 really using this. But there's still all these people still behind who are like, I want to, but I don't understand it.
Yeah. If only I could do it, but you can. You just have to, you know, you got to just hang on. You start small. And honestly, it's kind of like, I had a doctor that didn't want to use a computer. And so I'm like, you got to stick with it. You don't have to be a Sarah, like just eating it and dreaming about it.
Right.
You just still have to embrace it because you're going to be really left behind if you don't. And so I love the idea of just giving them that little taste of it, a little curiosity there. And then some will dive in deeper and some will just be okay with knowing a little bit.
The same with like when I talk about sober choices, right? It's about awareness and questioning for you what works for you. I don't care if you drink or don't drink. I don't really care. I don't care if you use AI or don't use AI. But if you come to me and you're like, I just don't have enough time, like you and I just talked about this, all of those Zoom meetings we're on, and I'm like, cool, here's an AI tool that you can use to help prep you for meetings and summarize meetings. That's perfect for you. You don't need to go learn all of this Claude code stuff if you get just a little AI that's going to, right? So you got to be aware.
Yeah, that's the key. I think that's exciting because you're speaking at the retreat and like by then, who knows? We had 4 months to go. Is there something like that? So what's going to happen by then? But it's like the strengths too. Like what you're good at, lean into that. What your goal is, lean into that as far as AI goes. So you went from teaching dental front office systems to becoming a leader in AI education, which is incredible, smarty pants, okay? Because, you know, not everybody can do that. What helped you embrace change instead of learning it? What advice would you give to others navigating major shifts in their career? Because since I've known you, I've seen shifts. I mean, especially when you start off working in your family dental practice to where you are now, VP for a major company on steroids. Mango.
I think a few things. I think for one, trust the process. And it's easy for me to say that, and because I sold my business and sold it to a company that I don't regret selling it, but it was a 5-year, really long, tough 5 years. And in those 5 years, my best friend got fired. My whole company they let everybody go. And now I can look back and see why, because I'm where I'm supposed to be. And I'm glad I don't own the company anymore. And I'm just anybody listening, the company who owns it now is an amazing company. But the 5 years before that was really hard. And now I can look back and say, oh, I know why this was supposed to happen. But whatever your faith is, whatever you believe, the universe or God or whatever, just trust the process. I have a stepdaughter right now going through some tough stuff at work. And I'm like, I remember going through that at 25. And that formed the manager I am now, the leader I am now. So she's got to go through it because she's going to make decisions later in life that will make a difference. So trust the process. The second thing is I think it's really look for what's not been addressed yet. Look for what the niche is or what the people need, whoever it is you're coaching or consulting or business. Because, for example, I'm a big member of ADOM, which is the Dental Office Manager Group. And I love them for dental office managers, but I felt like there was nothing addressing the team members, the front office team members. So that's why I started Front Office Rocks.
Okay.
Sober Life Rocks is the same way. Like, there are people who are sober and go to community and do all that, but there's a lot of people who are curious right now. It's a big conversation. And what are we doing to address them? And so with AI, like I said, there's people who know AI and there's people who are still struggling with it. And so I'm finding the niche in there of the people to just find something that you can speak to that right person. You know that avatar and you can really solve a problem for them. That's really been kind of I can look back in the evolution of my career and saying like, I'm targeting that person that really needs the help in that area.
I also think knowing you and now thinking about your career, you've always been involved in community. You were involved in ADOM, you're involved now a community of Sober Life Rocks, you're involved in DO, you show up to all these communities. And so it's like you say, I don't know everything, but I can learn from the people in the room. And you've got to be open to that. I guess you've always been kind of curious because you're always learning. And then again, you're executing, you just execute it. So that's kind of cool too.
And that's a good point. One of the things is sometimes when you're in a community too, you're the leader, like Sober Life Rocks. I'm like, I got to be the face. Margie is the implementer and I'm the face. But when I come to DO, when I first came to DO, I walked in and I was like, I don't know what we're doing here because I am a get things done business person. What's the outcome of this? And we walked in and there was Kleenex on the table and there was, hugging and stuff. And I was like, this is not my thing, right? But I trusted you and I trusted the process. And over the last however many years I've been coming to DO, I found a coach, Taryn McCarthy. I'm just going to throw it out for her. She's been an amazing happiness coach because I realized a couple of years into this, as I'm with all of these beautiful women, that I was happy from the shoulders up. I got sober and I was doing all the business things, but it was all my brain, but I wasn't happy in my heart, truly happy. Like, I've gone through a lot of life things. And in DO, I looked around and I said, how are some of these women so happy? And Taryn was one of them. But I was like, I want to connect with her. And so I trusted the process that I think being in the room with you and with all these beautiful people that you bring together, I could find where I needed help, right? Which was like coaching for my own self, not my brains, not learning more, but actually working on me. And so when you're in these rooms in community, look for why are you here? What do you need to get out of it? Where do you need to grow or learn or who do you need to connect with? Because community is the way to do it for sure.
Well, and as we say, principle number 4, the answer's in the ladies' room. So you're going to find somebody there that's going to help you. And sometimes we just don't even know. I mean, when you just said that, I'm thinking to myself, you were so busy doing all the work you never even thought about from the neck down, in a sense, of the heart, the soul, the mind, and you got to get this done and you got to, chop. So I think sometimes it is a pause and there's a little bit for everybody. I think last year nobody really used Kleenexes last year, but
last year wasn't.
I mean, you just never know what's going to happen because it's kind of like we have an agenda, but the aura of these women, and as we know, the women that in dentistry, we can't leave dentistry. The people in dentistry are amazing. We're so lucky. And I think making dentistry better is part of our mission. And then that trickles out to not just the patient, but to the families of the professionals and all of those things, that there really isn't anything like picking the phone up and calling a DO because they get you. They get what you're talking about and they know the ins and outs. But you're an icon in the industry. So many women look up to you, honestly, because we've seen your journey and you just you do command respect, Laura. It is because I think of the way you walk through life and then just the courageous moves that you've made. But looking back at your journey as an entrepreneur, speaker, author, and educator, what is one lesson as we wrap this up? One lesson you wish you had learned 10 years earlier?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think it would be to ask for help earlier and better and more. You and I talked about my best friend who helped build my business, Janelle. We were best friends outside of dentistry. She's a hygienist, but we were friends outside of dentistry. And she forced help on me. she was
bossy.
Just kind of like,
With love.
With love. But she forced help on me. And then I realized over the years, I get in my own way sometimes, like I can do it. Just put my head down, just make it happen, right? And so I think I would, if I could go back and tell my younger self something, it would be like, ask for help, allow people to help you. I'm an only child. I was a military kid. You just did it. You just put your head down, worked hard.
No complaining.
Right? Yeah. I actually, Taryn and just had a coaching call last week about that. And a lot of overachiever women, if you go back and look, I was taught early on, like not to cry, not to show emotion.
Snap out of it.
Yep, get out of it. And so now to process emotions, to me, it's hard. But a lot of the time, if you don't get it out, she describes it as like pushing a beach ball underwater, right? And so I think that's part of it where it's like asking for help before felt like a failure. It felt like, I'm just not strong, right? And now I can be stronger in my strengths when I have others around me who can be there for me for the help that I need. So, and the help I need might just be a hug from my husband or a nap, watch the dog or whatever, right? But allow people to help you.
It's the little things, isn't it? And a special thing about and what you're building in So More Life Rocks is that you have confidence in the people that are in the room that are going to help you. It's sometimes letting your guard down. And and especially when you're getting coached, you have to dig deep to be who you really are to get anything out of it. And that's kind of scary when you never did that before. You were always standing strong and can do, and that's all women. Women are the hardest time asking for help. I think that's something that we need to learn. We got to have another talk on that. I don't know if anyone's doing a talk on that. We've had it before, but that's next year for sure.
Well, and I want to say, anybody who's listening to this is my thing. And I told you this, so you've heard this story before, but walking into when I said the Kleenex thing, I walked in and what's the business? What's the ROI? What's the thing? Yeah. And in this room, there's so many badass women. Like there's women I respect, young women coming up that I'm like, yeah, I wish I was like her at 20, all of the things. But the one thing about is when you see them at other conferences, we all look the part. We're the Instagram, be successful, whatever. But when we come into there's two things. We leave the egos at the door. Like there's literally, you can turn to anybody and go, I need help. And they will sit down and talk to you. But the second thing is we hear the real stories behind these women. You hear about divorce. You hear about loss in their life. You hear about job issues, why you started We hear about so many real things. And some of it brings tears. Some of it brings, we got pumped up last year and we can do better. But when you leave that room, you not only see the badass women, but you see them more badass now. You see them out and you're like, wow, she's overcoming, she's got 10 kids at home and she's doing this. So that's the thing is we actually get to let the guard down and actually be ourselves. I mean, last year, a couple of people mentioned to me, I told my full story on a panel of selling my business and how hard it was and going through divorce and rebuilding my life. And people have said to me this year, they see me at conferences, like that was so impactful for them. I wouldn't tell that story in any other conference. I wouldn't stand on stage and say, I got divorced from the dentist and I had to stop drinking. But we can do it at Like we can really share our real stories. So,
and the impact of that for somebody sitting in the seat is so profound because we think that it was easy, that you did that easy. And that if you can get up after that, maybe I can get up too. And I'm going to have somebody help me get up.
It was Victoria Peterson, who I heard her on a stage say that at the point she was talking, she wasn't drinking and she told her story. And I saw her as a woman ahead of me in our career that I've always respected. And I thought, if she can do it, I can do it. And we don't know when we're telling a story how it's going to impact. We don't know who needs to hear whatever it is, but it's a safe space to do that, which thank you for building this for all of us and for all the many more women that are going to come and join. So it's amazing.
Yeah. Thank you. Again, I opened a door and the women are amazing. And you are one of them. So Laura Nelson, thank you so much for being with me today. I could spend all day with you, but I got to wrap this up. And I want to know, how do we get in touch with you? I mean, I want to know how to get in touch with Sober Life Rocks and how to get in touch with you at Mango, because we love Mango and they are cutting edge. They're churning it out so fast. It's staying on top of it. So tell us how to get in touch with you.
Yes. So Brush Up on AI is my AI group on Facebook. If you just want to follow along and get tips and tricks. Sober Life Rocks is the website. You can learn about our conference. You don't have to be sober to come. You just be part of the movement and the interest in normalizing sober choices. And then Mango Voice, which again, you said they started because they didn't have any women. And we have a ton of amazing women and we've hired a ton. We're sending a whole bunch. We just found out we're sending a whole bunch of people to do, women at do.
Amazing.
So Mango Voice is a AI company, voice over IP phones, plus I'm there helping build AI voice agents. We've got a lot of stuff, great stuff coming out, but more importantly, an amazing company that is focused in our industry. Our leadership team is top notch and a great company to partner with. So Mango Voice, you can find out more or find me on all the channels, all the things. I'm everywhere. Just message me. Yeah.
You are everywhere. And we love seeing you. I love getting hugs and I love our friendship that will continue. So take care. I'm so glad you saw Janelle. Shout out to Janelle. I hope you're listening to this today because we love you too. And honestly, anyone is listening today, the most important thing you can do is to keep doing you. Thanks everyone for joining us today. Laura, take care. I'll see you on the road. Okay.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Bye, darling.
Thank you for listening to the Just Do It podcast, hosted by Ann Duffy. To learn more about dental entrepreneur women, to share your story, or to join the movement, please visit our website, do.life. That is DEW.life. Subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcasting app to make sure you don't miss an episode. And in the meantime, keep doing you.